Welcome to Spotlight Television. I'm Damon Roberts. 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. That was Andrew Carnegie, one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs of all time. This is just as relevant today as it was more than a century ago. While some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world have built their wealth through real estate, what may be shocking is that only around 32% of real estate investors are women. Today, we're going to find out why more women are not investing in real estate from someone who is determined to change that. She is the female real estate rock star, the founder of Invest in the Smoky Mountains, Josh's Cabins, and a leading coach and mentor for buyers on building generational wealth through short-term rentals. Serving as an inspiration for success, she is on a mission to empower 1,000 women to become millionaires through real estate investing. Please welcome to Spotlight Television, Leslie Ann Morris. Leslie Ann, welcome to Spotlight Television.
Thank you, Damon. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. So, as I like to do at the beginning of every show, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and tell the audience a little bit about what this passion to drive for women in real estate. That's an amazing stat. I'm sure that's a surprise to people, 32%. So tell us a little bit about yourself and this passion you have for getting women into investing in real estate.
Yeah, sure. I mean, this started as a young child. I did a lot of women's empowerment stuff with my father. He's a martial arts sensei. So studied martial arts as a young girl. We'll go into women's shelters, help lift women up, and I've carried that into the future. I had a long career in commercial banking, primarily working with really large clients like SpaceX was one of the clients I worked with in banking, but kind of just got to a point where I said, what's next, what's out there, and I began investing in real estate, particularly cabins in eastern Tennessee in the Smoky Mountains, which is where all my companies are now. And I was able to kind of create the American dream for myself. I was able to scale this real estate portfolio in a really compressed time frame. And in about 36 months, I quit my job in banking, left that entire life behind, and went full-time as a real estate investor. Now I lead an agent team. I have the property management company, and it's all in the wide world of cabins. So then I kind of got to this point where I think it was a conversation with my mother. She said, you know, Leslie, what is your goal here? Are you going to have 1,000 cabins? Because I do own in the double digits now. In a short period of time, she was just seeing how I could continue to scale that. And is that really what I wanted to do? And I'm like, well, no, I have all the money that I want and need, and I'm happy, I'm fulfilled. So what's next for me? And that's when I decided that I wanted to focus on 1,000 women becoming millionaires in real estate investing. I was at a conference, real estate conference. I go and speak all over the nation at these things. And at one of them, another speaker in her discussion was talking about the fact that 1/3 of investors are women. And that just kind of was shocking to me. I thought, you know, because I'd heard that statistic about, Andrew Carnegie quoting that the wealth is coming from that investing vehicle particularly. So it felt like a little bit of a disparity that maybe we could focus some energy on. So now I'm creating it into a nonprofit. I'm really focused on, screaming it from the rooftop, if you will. I partnered with Forbes. I'm on their business council. So I did a lot of research around the statistic and the why and how and what, and just focused on being the mover and shaker in that industry to make some changes.
Yeah, I would think most people that would be a shocking stat, 32%. It was to me when I saw it in preparation to talk to you. So I was interested if the person who was giving that stat in that speech was saying it as a positive thing, like, oh, 1/3 of, or were they looking at it as only 1/3 of? Because to me, I would be surprised to say, wow, only 1/3.
Yeah, it was more like trying to get women to kind of stand up and join us in investing. You know, there are quite a few women, there are 1/3. But let's be honest, that's a lot less than a half, which is where it should be. In looking into the study a little more even, that statistic could be flawed a little bit. It comes from Zippia, which does a lot of real estate industry research. And so someone had pointed out to me recently at a conference I was speaking at in Charlotte that potentially that statistic also includes women working in real estate in support of administrative roles. So it actually might be a lot less than that. Women that are leading deals, women that are buying and investing in real estate the way I have is extremely rare. So I'm just on the mission to create awareness around it and change so the women that are interested can come to me and I can help them on this mission to starting.
Let's go back to some of your earlier life as you laid out for us, 20 years commercial banking. Let's talk about that industry a little bit because it'll lead me into the question of the the atmosphere that we're in right now and when it comes to real estate. So, but first, tell me a little bit about your background in that commercial space and what did you take from that immediately you felt like helped you when you started doing this?
Yeah, well, so I was with primarily US Bank. It was the largest company that I worked for, but also worked for other banks as well. But it was about a 23-year career. Started as a teller and literally climbed the rungs. I do hold a master's degree from the University of Southern California, so that helped, but I had hands-on work experience. I would say within just the first few years of the banking career, I dove into the world of business banking. So at the end, I was a commercial corporate banker. I did a lot of large debt structures. And then in the capacity that I worked with companies like SpaceX, I did receivables and payables, basically consultations to help them create efficiencies in their business processes by doing things like slowing down payables and speeding up receivables. So I'm a rare exception to the rule. I know a lot about how to get loans to buy real estate and how to run efficient companies. I have that in my background. So I'm not just your average person off the street buying property. I think that's what sets me apart and makes me different and gives me the confidence to help others do the same thing.
You've seen kind of both sides. It's interesting. So let me ask you this. Given the current climate in the last year, 2 years almost, obviously inflation extremely high, people struggling. Now we're at a point where credit is becoming tighter to get, money's more expensive, inflation obviously coming down, but not where we want to see it. Real estate is the talk. You look at CPI, real estate and owner's equivalent rent, and those kind of things are a big factor in that. What do you see through your eyes? Where are we in the commercial and just overall real estate market? Do you feel like, I've seen stats where they say another 5% decrease in the market, there'll be a significant amount of people underwater on their houses and their loans. Where is the market right now, given what we've gone through in the last 2 years, from someone like through your eyes? What do you see?
Yeah, well, I'm sure glad I'm not in banking anymore.
Yeah.
In a commission-based role. Commercial banking is definitely decreased quite a bit. I mean, we're seeing a lot of office and multifamily structures being pivoted into other types of asset classes. You know, things like we're not working no more. I don't play in the commercial space anymore, so I think what I'll comment on today would primarily be focused on single family, primarily vacations, primarily cabins. So that in that world, we are seeing situations where you really have to sharpen your pencil during the underwriting exercise. So even though it is single family, it's easy to get these loans. You can do conventional, these are backed by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, those types of loans. There's also certain types of commercial loans you can do to buy these homes. But you're right, the rates are high. Price points haven't really compressed down the way I'd like to see them. I'd like to take advantage of some flipping opportunities. Those are coming. So the time to enter the market is now, but you really need to work with a team that knows their stuff in the market where you're looking to buy. Don't get your friend that's a real estate agent that's trying to make a commission. Get somebody who's doing what you want to do. And you need to look at different types of underwriting equations like net operating income and cash on cash. You need to know how to calculate those two components to make sure that what you buy will make money. That's really key right now.
So let's talk about your company, Invest in the Smoky Mountains. That's a pretty specific title to a pretty specific area. You hear location, location, location. What attracted you to this location to name your company after it?
Everybody asks me this and I'm like, actually, I knew absolutely nothing about Tennessee. I didn't know anyone there, no family. I was living and working in Los Angeles at the time and just wanted a way to begin building wealth. I saw a 10K report that US Bank put out that had the CEO salary, and I was like, how am I going to get to 16 million? Like, that feels, I made great money, don't get me wrong. I left behind a large paycheck. So I decided to rob a retirement. I basically paid tax penalties on withdrawing this retirement money. I don't give advice on that to my clients. They can do what they will. Talk to your tax preparer about the implications of that. But that's what I did. It was the right move for me. It allowed me to scale a portfolio really quickly. I was looking at different areas. Obviously, I was looking at Southern California because I was living there at the time. I was actually going to buy in Ohio, where the price per square foot was extremely low, and the deal blew up overnight. And I pivoted and found the Smoky Mountains. I found vacation homes. My thought process on it was, if I could buy a cool vacation home that I'd want to go visit and stay in myself, then other people might want to book that off of websites like Airbnb and Expedia, Vrbo, and then we have some direct booking that we do. But it just worked really, really well. And instead of it breaking even, I was making more cash than I can even mention, and I was using that cash to buy more cabins. Now today, that looks a little different. They are not making as much money because of the market shift, but you need to get into real estate when you are excited and hungry for it, and just make sure that you will make some sort of profit on the deal that you're investing in. And just think about other strategies. There's a ton of like tax benefits to getting into vacation rentals, especially if you're a high income W-2 earner. I'm happy to recommend CPAs. I am not licensed to give that info, but the very clever ways to use cost segregation and material participation to offset your tax bill through something that you and your family can enjoy.
So you have the Invest in the Smoky Mountains company. Obviously,
Yeah.
as you talked about, the short-term vacation rental market is maybe not where it was, but certainly a big, huge market. I think 256 billion, I think is the number they say over, that it is on a yearly basis. But you did an interesting thing. You started Josh's Cabins.
Yeah.
So tell me about how that started, and obviously how the two work together.
Yeah, well, Josh is my ex-husband. We had started investing together, and then after our divorce, we continued to be business partners. So it works really well. And so how we have that set up is Invest in the Smoky Mountains is an agent team. So we're going to recommend what you buy. We wouldn't sell you something we wouldn't buy ourselves, unless, of course, that's what you want to buy. And we help you with the underwriting to make sure that it will make money and perform. And we help refer you to people that can sell you insurance, provide your lending opportunity for you. I've had people get into the deals with, little to no cash down because there's obviously other avenues you can pull cash from. So that's that company. And then Josh's Cabins, we are full service valet property management, specifically in the Smoky Mountains. So once you buy it, if you live out of state and you want to own it passively, you hand the keys to Josh's Cabins and we can actually manage it for you. We can list it on websites like Airbnb. We make sure during guests checking in and checking out that it's cleaned. And we also can rehab, remodel, do projects that are based on increasing ROI in the properties. So I've really thought about like every revenue stream possible and anything a client could want and offering it as a one-stop shop.
Speak a little more to the importance of that management company, because that really is, especially as you said, someone who's, say, living in New York, investing there, knowing that management company, having faith in what they do, having faith in the people, that's such an important thing, because especially if you're looking to expand, you want to know, hey, I've got a group here on the ground that can really handle not only my expansion, but I don't have to worry.
No, totally. And I think the biggest thing that I tell people that really sells them on what we're doing is, like, I created the management company when I got to 5 cabins and I couldn't do it myself anymore. I needed a team. So I created the team to manage my cabins. So I'm not going to sell you on something that's not working for me. That's the biggest thing. So I say we're valet, I say we're boutique. We aren't trying to overthrow large corporations like Vacasa that are doing this to a massive scale. We are partnering with folks that buy cabins from us that think like we do. I co-authored a book called Hospitable Hosts, and that book is really focused on stories of entrepreneurs that are focused on client satisfaction. So this is the vacationers coming into the cabins. So we aren't just thinking of the bottom dollar. We are thinking of like creating these amazing vacation experiences that families will want to come back for.
Creating experiences, that's a great way to say it. So obviously you're extremely busy, you're expanding your business. So I'm interested in why, instead of just focusing on yourself, you have this passion to get to others, to inspire women to look at what you've done, to say, hey, you can do this too. It's not out of your reach. You travel the country. So talk to me a little bit about why you're not just focused on building your business and this passion that burns inside you to motivate others.
Yeah, well, I left banking in September of 2022, and I got bored really fast. I actually was on bed rest. I had pretty big health scare and a major surgery. So right before I left banking, I was on disability, and I kind of was thinking, if I left, what would I want to do next? And that was when I created the agent team. I already had the Josh's Cabins going. I technically was already a licensed agent because I was doing my own deals. And so that was kind of like to fill in the gap in the time. One of the biggest strategies I have personally is I don't want to live off of the income from the cabin portfolio that I have. I want that to build generational wealth for me, which is one of the things I'm doing to help women. I don't think they think a lot of times about that generational wealth. They also don't think about if something happened to your significant other, how are you going to, insurance is only going to get you so far. What's that next thing that you could develop on? So I work with quite a few women that come with inheritances, and they're like, help me create some sort of passive income so that I don't just live off of this money that I have. So that's a big thing that I focus on. And I think just like I have it deep inside my soul, I guess, that I really am focused on becoming a motivational speaker. I feel like every time I talk to somebody, I find some way to touch them or help improve their life. It's just an innate skill that I've developed. And so what better way to do something that you love and you're passionate about, that you're also good at? So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and you make a good point, because there's so many, especially obviously the younger generation, but even people I would say in the 40s, 50s, 60s, I'm kind of my age, I'm 51. There's not enough education about building wealth, not building generational wealth, but just even building passive income. There's a lot of tools out there. Obviously, real estate still probably is the #1 tool to do it. But there's not a lot of education, even for people to understand how to start a company, how to start it properly, where to start it, what state to start it in. All of these kind of things factor into that business mindset, and there's not enough of it going on.
Yeah, I agree. When I started purchasing real estate, I just was Googling literally anything that I wanted to learn. I would just be like, how do you do this? Where's a market where price per square foot is low? And how do I find an agent? And this and that. And I came across a few different communities that kind of lifted me up, that had like message boards where I contribute today. One of those is Bigger Pockets. So I'm very active on there. You can get a lot of free real estate information. There's people like me, we have paid stuff, we have free stuff. I will do like a free 15-minute call with almost anybody. I have like a calendar link on my website. But you're right, there's not like somebody that can really coach you through the whole process. So I'm trying to bridge that gap with what I'm doing. And I think there are more players in this Airbnb. I hate to use that term. We like to say short-term rental because we don't want to rely on one booking source. But there's a lot of these Airbnb influencers out there. So just check and see what their portfolio looks like. What does it consist of? Make sure they invest in the market where you're interested. Caveat, I do coach in all markets because I've owned in multiple states. Actually building a new portfolio in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado right now. And I've owned in Alabama and Florida. And any kind of deal that makes sense for me, I can kind of take that down because I have a team. But I would say if you don't want to follow in my footsteps and build out companies, then you want to find somebody in your market that's similar to what I'm doing,
Okay, that's an interesting point, because that was going to be one of my questions, because you seem to have kind of turnkey this in the Smoky Mountains, obviously based the company around it. But do you feel like you have a situation, is this going to be turnkey in other markets? I guess it kind of is, you kind of answered that, but people listening to this from other parts of the country, do you feel like this can work? It's still really about location. Obviously, you got to find a location that's going to work in the money and like you said, price per square foot. But will it work kind of anywhere?
Yeah, I've actually had other people like me approach me about franchising. So that is something that I'm looking into. Right now, I'm very busy. I'm focused on empowering women, so that's kind of where I'm at. But it is something that if somebody's interested, they can come to me and I can help them set it up. I think what's setting me apart is the ability to have that key metric to make sure that the things make money, which is the underwriting. If you don't have that component and you're just an agent or you're just a property manager, you're referring out to like a lender to rely on them, and there's a disconnect, there's a breakdown in the process. So I think that's the biggest difference. I have heard there are people like me that are doing this in other markets. I don't know how to find them. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like now I'm talking in circles.
No, that's all important stuff. Speaking of getting back to the women, the percentages first for a second. When you think about real estate and you think about real estate agents, I don't know what the number is, but I'll bet it's pretty high percentage of women who are real estate agents. Why do you think, especially as an agent, you kind of see the inner workings of how these things happen? You're obviously attached to deals. Why do you think more women who start as real estate agents are not making that leap at some point to say, hey, I want to be on the other side. I want to be the investor as well. There's deals maybe I even like for myself. Why don't they make that connection?
I don't know, I think it's fear of the unknown. I think any time in life, just in general with anything that you're scared to do, it's because you don't know how to do it. So you just need to find somebody that's doing it or knows how to do it. I've gone in, I've done Keller Williams Elite and the brokerage where my license hangs, Zach Taylor Real Estate, and done coaching with the agent specifically to start thinking about investing. But some of them have a little bit of fear even when they do get into deals and they sell quickly, which is not, this is a buy and hold business. So if you're gonna worry just a few months in that you might lose everything and want to sell, that's a bad plan. So there's a strategy. We look at a 12-month rolling basis for properties. And they do take a little bit to become searchable on websites like Airbnb. So you want to have cash reserves in deals. These are all things that I coach on to make sure somebody's in the right spot to do it.
Yeah. And do you have a sweet spot on deals? There's a lot of people watching this, and there's a lot of women who I'm sure are inspired by listening to you, but they're thinking, geez, I've stayed, as you talked about what you did to get started, is there a sweet spot on deals? Are you looking, let's say, for a first deal for someone? Are you saying, okay, listen, our ceiling's going to be 300,000, 200,000, 500,000. Where is that kind of thought process for someone new who's thinking about, I'm ready to do my first deal?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So I would say like $500,000 is typically our starting point in this market. There are deals that are under that, but they're going to need a lot of additional cash outside of your loan. What we like to use is other people's money. So you come into the deal with just a portion of your own money and you leverage private or bank money. I have tons of lender contacts that can do that in the market, who, by the way, also own cabins. So they're involved, they're passionate about the system. But yeah, you could come into a deal essentially, like if you're looking to get a cabin that's say like $1 million and you have 100 grand, that's probably enough to get into the deal. You will need some source funds for closing costs. So as little as 10% down is still doable in this market today. The type of structure that I do in lending, I usually will do like 15 or 20% down. Sometimes I might do 25 or 30 if I have more cash and I'm trying to get my payment at a certain level. So it's a whole strategy. That's why you want to work with somebody that can coach you on it. And it doesn't have to be me. It just needs to be somebody who actually has done it and isn't just Googling and teaching you something off the internet. So that unfortunately happens in all of these industries where something starts to kind of be very popular, like during the pandemic. Airbnb's own marketing strategy blew up vacation homes in this massive way, and we found people that were like basically working virtually that never in their life had this opportunity to work from anywhere in the world if they could fly there. So once they figured this out, this industry went nuts. And because I am so niche in what I'm doing, and it has gone absolutely nuts, I work with people all over the nation. So if it's the right strategy for you, you will need money to play in the space, but there are clever ways to get that money because you probably have it sitting, maybe it's even in stocks and bonds, which are not doing very well right now.
All right, let's do the most important thing we can do today. Let's tell people how to get in touch with you. Let's tell them where they can find you, not only on the web, but are you have any speaking events coming up? Lay out the case for how people can get in touch with you.
It's cabinladyleslie.com. That's my website right now. That gets you to like pretty much personally everything that I own. You could look at what's in my portfolio, where I'm speaking next, and it also links out to all the companies. If you specifically are looking to buy a cabin, that's investinthesmokymountains.com. And if you want to rent a cabin, that's joshscabins.com. One of the things that I love to do is educate for free through Instagram. And on Instagram, I'm at leslie.ann.morris. But again, all of this can be linked just from the cabinladyleslie.com website. And I believe the next thing that I have coming up is going to be in September in Austin, Texas, actually very, very soon. So I don't know if this will air, but it's the STR Growth Summit, and I do have a registration link for that. So if anybody's interested, it's going to be basically 50 elite speakers that are in the industry, all doing similar things to me in Austin, Texas. And we're going to come together and do like a very closed session with 300 people. So it's very exciting. And then I think after that, I'm going to be in Tampa, Florida, but that for me is educational in nature. with a mastermind that I'm in. So I'm constantly doing continuing ed to bring that to clients.
CabinLadyLeslie.com is the place to go. This has been a fascinating conversation. Congratulations on all the success and continued success in the future. And thanks for coming on Spotlight Television.
Thank you, Damon. Appreciate it.
And we'll be right back.